Hello everyone, welcome to the Iconic Dollcast. My name is Sage, your host, and welcome to a very special episode. This week I am celebrating 3 years of the podcast, and we're going to be taking a deep dive into my Britney Spears custom dolls. For those of you who don't know, I've been making custom Britney Spears dolls since 2017. In 8 years, I have made over 1,000 dolls. I've sold dolls all over the world, and it has just been the most fantastic experience. When I make these dolls, I use the original face molds from the official Britney Spears doll that was released by Play Along Toys in late 1999. From music videos to tour costumes to red carpet looks to paparazzi photos, I've made a Britney Spears custom doll in just about any outfit you could think of. And I also make every single doll 100% unique and one of a kind, even if it's the same outfit, which makes things really fun and always keeps it interesting. I do want to mention that this episode is fully visual, so if you are listening on Apple Podcasts and you want to watch as I go, please head over to Spotify or YouTube. Today is part 1 of a 2-part series. I have taken the time to look through every single design that I have made, and I split them up into categories. Today I'm going to talk about the looks that I think are the most iconic, the most niche, the most difficult, and the most simple. Now, obviously, I cannot go through every single doll that I have ever made. That would take forever. And several of these dolls I have made many, many times. But I did enjoy going down memory lane. There were so many dolls that I completely forgot about. And it really was super nice to revisit all of my work. Next week, I'm going to be talking about custom Britney dolls that I think were the most fun to make, the most unique, the most underrated, of course, my all-time favorite dolls, and so much more. I do want to say that the first category I'm going to talk about today is going to take just a bit longer than the rest, just because it is the most iconic category, and Britney Spears is a forever legend. But we are going to look at a lot of dolls today. I'm so excited. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning into my podcast and following my Britney Spears custom dolls journey. You have no idea how much it means to me. I really cannot believe it has been 8 years since I started making the custom Britney Spears dolls, and I also can't believe it's been 3 years since I started this podcast. It really means everything to me, so thank you so much for being a part of this journey with me. We are going to jump into it right now. As always, please follow me on Instagram at Britneyspearscustomdolls. You can follow the podcast Instagram at Iconic Dollcast. Follow me on TikTok at Britney Spears Dolls. And let's get into the first category of my Britney Spears custom dolls deep dive. All right, so we're going to kick things off with the first category, and that is what I think are the most iconic looks. These are the looks that I think really defined Britney's image, catapulted her into a star, and has made her permanently an icon, and I think these are the images and looks that are going to be associated with her forever. We will be talking about Baby One More Time at the end of this category, but first let's get into some others. We're gonna start with, of course, the iconic Oops, I Did It Again catsuit. And yes, this doll was released officially in 2000 by Play Along Toys, but for my custom dolls, for the most part, I try not to recreate looks that are already out there. But for this one specifically, I was at a fabric store once and I found like the perfect material, and I just decided to go for it, and I made a couple of these. Obviously, it's one of Britney's most memorable costumes and iconic moments in her career, and people really love this one. I do as well. I think, like I said, the material that I found for this was near perfect, and it was a little bit tricky to work with and sew through, but it did turn out really good. I thought maybe I could do the hair a little bit better than how it was released on the Play Along doll in 2000. I think I did a pretty good job, but yeah, this is not one that I've done a bunch just because I don't really like to reproduce dolls that are already out there, but obviously I've made an exception for this. And for most of the looks in the category, there is a ton of Britney merch available of Britney in that specific costume. So here we've got some Funko Pops. Fisher-Price just released these pretty cute little mini dolls. All of these looks will be on this list in this category. There's a mini version of this doll. This is an original, but I also have made a custom version of this using that same fabric that I had found, and I think they both look great. I think the outfit is pretty basic when you're just looking at it from the outside, but I know there was a lot of work that went into this catsuit when Britney was filming the video for Oops, I Did It Again. It was very last minute and honestly has remained just not even the most iconic Britney images or looks of Britney Spears, but just like in pop culture in general, which is the same for the next look we're gonna look at. Britney live at the 2001 MTV Video Music Awards. This is easily, I think, between this and Baby One More Time, just definitely the most iconic and memorable Britney look of all time. It is the doll that I have made the most of over the years. And one thing I want to mention here that is pretty special about what I do is that I make a lot of these, and I make a lot of these dolls over and over again. And I think what makes what I do different from others is that every single design I do, whether it's the same performance or a different performance, whatever, I make every single doll 100% unique. So like these two Slay For You dolls look very similar to this one, but they all have their individual, just creative elements, and that is what I do to keep myself from getting burned out from this. I think I've made like 85 of these at this point, and I still really enjoy making it because I can get super creative and I don't do the same thing over and over and over again. I never try to copy what Britney Spears is wearing or performing in exactly. I like to be an artist and be creative, and the way that I have been able to keep this up for so long is by changing the way I do things. And you can change and create and make things your own, but still anyone looking at any of these dolls would know exactly where it's from. And for this category specifically, I am going to show you just kind of how my art has grown over the last 8 years. This is my first attempt at Slay For You. I made this in 2017. This is one of the very, very first custom Britney dolls that I ever made. Clearly, I had no idea what I was doing, but she has evolved. This is my Britney VMA that I kept for myself. This is the first one that I made where I was like, I really nailed that. And I had already made so many prior to that, but because I can get so creative with this design specifically, I have been able to teach myself things that I never thought of before. And so looking at like my original, you can see it has like hardly any detailing on it. And then right here, this is my most recent version of the doll, and I think she is near perfect without being an exact copied replica of what Britney Spears was wearing. So I really do love making this doll, even though I've made so many of them. I think the hardest thing about this design specifically is the shorts, and I do them different every single time, and I have kind of figured out better ways to to get this done successfully. But other than that, it's just a super fun project. I have made a little custom mini Britney for this look. She does have a snake. I don't know where it is, but that's always pretty fun. And it is, I'm pretty sure, the doll that I have made the most of. I'd have to go look through my records. All of these dolls are the ones that I've done, it feels like, a million times. I have done a custom version of this look on the porcelain doll, and this is actually the only Britney doll that I have made a custom design in all 3 Britney doll sizes, which I think is pretty cool. All right, next, of course, we have Toxic, the flight attendant outfit. This design is pretty cool. I have made all 4 looks from the Toxic music video. These get requested a lot. And the 4th one, the one where Britney, it's at the end of the video, Britney has super dark hair. This one, it took a really long time for someone to order this. I was so excited when they finally did because I could say, well, that's amazing. I've done all 4 looks from the Toxic music video, but I would definitely say the flight attendant outfit is the one that I've done the most. Here we have the very first version of this doll that I made. I think I did this one in maybe like 2018 or 19. She has come a long way. I've done this doll on, I think, every single Britney doll head mold that there is. There are several. I've also made a little mini version of this doll, and yes, from Funko Pops to little Fisher Price figures, this look has it all. Definitely a top tier Britney Spears look that everyone likes. And you know, I think I could grow a little bit more with this one, but overall I think she looks great. And obviously, like we're talking about, this is the most iconic category, so these are all of the most very iconic looks, and Toxic, the flight attendant look, is definitely one of them. Next up, we're going to talk about the ringleader look from the Circus tour. And I think this is one of the later Britney looks, post In the Zone, that does get used a lot still on merchandise. There are Funko Pops. I know there's been some t-shirts with some Circus logos and stuff on it. And from the Circus era, it's usually specifically this look. I mean, I think this is honestly my favorite Britney tour costume of all time. Maybe. I've done this doll so many times. Here is my very first attempt. Interesting that I decided to make her a brunette, but obviously my skills have grown over time. This is my most recent version of the doll, and she has obviously gone through many, many changes. I've made several of them. I've done brunette Circus Britney. I've done the blonde one. This is also a look that I've done on the large porcelain Britney Spears doll. This turned out really cute. This is one of my favorite dolls of all time. And I just realized that not only have I made Britney dolls in the Slave For You outfit in all 3 sizes, I have also done the Circus ringleader in all 3 sizes. My bad. This is definitely one of my most ordered custom dolls. At one point during the holiday season, I did make 5 of these at one time, so people really, really love this costume. Okay, and coming in at number 4, this look does not get a lot of love on current Britney merch, but it is definitely still one of her most iconic. It's also one of my most ordered custom designs, and that is Britney Spears at the 2000 MTV VMA Awards. Britney literally does have the most iconic VMA moments out of any artist. Like I said, these are the looks that most people resonate with when they think of Britney Spears, and this doll too has come a long way when it comes to my designing skills. My very first attempt, I don't know again what I was thinking, but here is my latest attempt, and I think this one is not difficult. It's just very tedious, especially when I am rhinestoning the entire outfit. That does take quite a long time. You have to be super patient with it, on top of doing her hair as well. I think the ones that you would think would be more tedious actually aren't, and that's because I'm doing a lot of multitasking. But with a design like this, or Toxic, or even obviously the Oops catsuit, like, I'm just working with basically one material and I have to focus on that material. And with this one specifically, I wouldn't say, I think sewing everything and getting everything ready is pretty easy, but it's just the stoning that takes forever. And kind of like with Slave For You, with this one, I do the rhinestone patterns different on every single doll. Again, I'm not trying to copy anything. I'm trying to make art. So I do the rhinestone decal different every single time. And I think she always turns out pretty cute. And even though she doesn't have a lot of current official merch out in that costume with that look, I do have a little mini one, of course. I love making the mini dolls. They're so much fun. They're so easy. They're so simple. And I think they always turn out pretty good. Okay, so of course I need to talk about Baby One More Time, the one that started it all. Like I said, Play Along released versions of the Baby One More Time schoolgirl outfit in several versions, and honestly, they nailed it. So I think this doll is near perfect. It is the first Britney Spears doll that I ever owned. Not only did they give us a regular size version of this doll, they also gave us a mini version of the doll and a much taller porcelain version of this doll. This was a limited edition that was released in 1999 when all of her dolls were coming out. People love this. I think it's absolutely stunning. I think she's real porcelain. Can't confirm or deny. She feels like it. And this is also one of my favorite dolls. And again, they nailed it. The only thing with the Baby One More Time dolls that I don't think they got perfect was that in the video, Britney's undershirt, underbra, whatever you want to call it, was actually like a maroon color. And for all of the dolls, they did give her a black bra. And honestly, like, it's not super noticeable to me, and I think it's the right choice. In 1999 or early 2000, another toy company called Yaboom Toys released their own version of the Britney Spears doll. I will say they did try to do a little color correcting. They made her undershirt red, but it's still not how it was in the music video. So I think black would have been better on this doll. Again, I mean, I think with Slave For You at the 2001 MTV VMAs, like, Baby One More Time is definitely Britney's all-time most iconic look. And honestly, just because I think Play Along nailed this, so I don't think it's necessary to make custom versions of this doll. You can get her on eBay for a pretty good price. But I did make a Baby One More Time Britney doll that I think is honestly the most underrated doll that I've ever put together, and that is my custom Britney Spears Baby One More Time American Girl doll. You guys, I'm obsessed with American Girl. I always have been. And when they started making the Barbie American Girls and the Disney Princess American Girls, I just felt inspired. So I ended up putting together my own version of the Baby One More Time look. I did make her undershirt maroon, so it was screen accurate. And honestly, like, this is probably, I didn't do too much. I actually ended up buying a Harry Potter outfit that was available for 18-inch size dolls for this. I made her sweater. I re-wigged the dolls. I did some styling, but overall it was a pretty easy project and definitely one of my most favorite dolls that I've ever made, and just super underrated, I think. And yeah, for Baby One More Time, I mean, we've got it all. This is such an iconic moment in pop culture history, and I would be silly not to include it on my list. Okay, so those are the 5 Britney dolls that I think are her most iconic looks, but I gotta do some honorable mentions. So first, starting off, I gotta give a shout out to the iconic dump him moment. This is something that people still reference to this day. I also think the 1999 Rolling Stone magazine cover is a big moment in Britney's career. I think the doll is super cute. This is another one of my all-time favorites and just like such a big moment in Britney's career. And of course, I gotta mention the denim dress. This is also a very iconic moment in Britney's career that is still referenced today. This is also one of my most favorite dolls to create. It's super fun. I just get a bunch of used denim and just throw it all together. It's not a design that takes a long time just because it is really crafty, but I think she always turns out really cute. And yeah, so to wrap up the first category, the most iconic looks, those are my top favorites. Now we're gonna go in the complete opposite direction, and that is what I think are the most niche Britney custom doll designs that I've done. These are the looks that I think only just like die-hard true Britney fans would even know where some of these are from. And these are also some of my favorite dolls to work on, just because I know for someone to order some of these, they have to be just a very true Britney Spears fan, and they're always super fun to make. Like I said earlier, moving forward, going through these categories, we're gonna go a lot faster just because I do have a ton of dolls to cover. And we're gonna start with these amazing looks from TRL. MTV's TRL was such a major part in launching Britney's career. Here we have an outfit that Britney performed in the middle of Times Square when she was promoting the In the Zone album. I always loved this look. Here we have Britney at the TRL Awards in, I think it was 2002. I remember watching this live on TV and just thinking like, oh my gosh, that outfit is so Britney. And here we have what I think was my very first super unique or niche, whatever you want to call it, order. And that is of Britney promoting the Everytime video on TRL Italy. I always love this one. I definitely want to try this again because this was one of my very, very first custom orders back in like 2018. But yeah, TRL was just such a major thing for Britney Spears and her career, and these are just some of the most amazing looks. And I literally do love that I've made dolls from these moments because truly only super Britney fans would know what these are, just like the rest of the dolls that are going to be on this list. So let's see what I got next. Unfortunately, I do not own any of these dolls anymore. A lot of people don't know this, but I've actually only kept a very small handful of custom dolls that I made for myself. So all of these have gone to people, and I don't have any of these, but I would love to make the TRL 2003 doll again and keep her for myself because I really love that one. Okay, next we have Britney performing at the US Open. I think this was in 1999, 1998. Britney was very first starting. This performance is super well known in the Britney fandom because she did sing the fan favorite song that was never a single, could have been a single, off of Baby One More Time, and that is I Will Be There. The doll also had cute little glasses that I got her. Loved this one. Here, this is Britney from a Rolling Stone photo shoot, I think it's during the Oops era for sure. I can tell by her hair. I always loved this one. I thought this one turned out really cute. I made this one so randomly one day when I just found this purple fabric that I thought would work for that design. This costume was pretty cool. It's one that was on my list for a very long time, and that is Britney performing Slay For You at the 2001 Billboard Awards, I think, and this performance was really cool. She actually performed at the Bellagio, like on on a platform where the fountains go off, and I always thought that was really cool. I also loved working on this one. I had to use a couple different fabrics to figure out what I liked best for the pants. I believe they started out a different color, and then I dyed them green, and it all worked out perfectly. And I don't know why I didn't try this one sooner, because it had been on my to-do list for such a long time. This is from the Curious commercial, Britney Spears' first fragrance. This is also one that I was surprised. It took a while for someone to order this one, so I was really excited when someone actually did, because honestly, I've only done a few looks from Britney Spears' perfume commercials, and this is definitely like the OG, so I was really excited to make this one. This is from when Britney sang the Alanis Morissette cover of You Oughta Know on the Circus tour. Love this one. I also love that I kept this doll's hair super long. A lot of people like it to be super accurate, but the hair is kind of the best part of the custom doll. I wouldn't say it's the best part, but it is a really special part of the custom dolls, and I love it when people want to keep it super long. These two dolls are very, very niche. These are from Britney's infamous M&M's tour. She wasn't really promoting an album. It was in 2007, before Blackout came out. She went on this little mini club tour, and it was supposed to be a surprise. I think people ended up finding out it was her, and it became a huge thing, but this is definitely something that only super Britney fans would know about. Here, this is another doll that I just made randomly because I found some fabric that I liked, and this is Britney when she was on SNL, one of the many times she was on SNL. And honestly, Britney is like a super underrated actress. Her SNL episodes are so funny. This one I'm definitely going to talk about again in another category because I think she is so underrated. This is definitely one of my all-time favorite custom dolls that I've ever made. I think this was at some event during the In the Zone era. I want to say it was a Carson Daly roast, but I could be wrong. But I mean, this doll turned out near perfect. I love her tights. I don't even remember how I did that, but I really loved this one. I was so sad to see her go. This is one of the looks from one of Britney's many Pepsi commercials. This is a look that I don't think gets talked about enough. This is in the very last scene of the original video. It's like the big dance break at the end. I've actually done a ton of Britney Pepsi dolls from a lot of the looks from the commercials. I'll have to show those off. I think a couple of them might come up again. This design is also one of my very first custom orders, and that is from when Britney did the Kenzo fashion campaign. Obviously, I didn't use any logos or anything on the design, but I really liked this one. And I also really love that I used the Pepsi doll face mold for this design. A lot of people don't like that one, but I think it looks just like Britney, especially like 2016 forward Britney. So I really like this design and the choice of face mold that I used. And I think lastly, I mean, there are so many, you guys. Doing this video has taken me down memory lane. There's so many dolls that I have forgotten about. I obviously cannot talk about every single one that I've ever done, so I just kind of was picking and choosing what I thought would fit in each category. So if you think of one that I'm not putting in a category, I'm sorry, I tried my best, but this one's pretty cool. This is from when Britney attended the NSYNC Celebrity Album release party, and what's cool about this outfit, well, I mean, first of all, this one was really fun to make. She might come up again in that category. It was basically just like paper mache, and I had so much fun making her top and sewing it all together because it's so crafty. But this one's cool also because the pants that Britney wore at this event are actually the exact same pants that she wore on the Britney album cover. And a lot of people just assumed they were jeans just because the album cover is super photoshopped. It's very artsy and very cool, but these are actually the same exact pants. I've done the Britney album cover, and shout out to my friend Nathan who made me the coolest artwork. I have it framed in my doll room. I love it so much. But yeah, I think a lot of people don't know that, and I think a lot of people don't even know about this look in general, and I think it's a really cool one. I know I said I was wrapping up this category, but I gotta give a shout out to this design, and that is from an unreleased version of the Make Me video. There's a lot of drama behind this. This never got released. I think some scenes have been leaked, but it's never officially been released. I had a lot of fun making this doll. She was pretty easy to make. It was really difficult to get the content for it though, but I think this one turned out really good. And I also want to give a shout out to the Britney doll that I made for the Break the Ice video. This one was really cool. I did reroot the doll with yellow hair. It's an anime video. It was really random, but still pretty cool. And I did the Break the Ice doll, and I think this one is also definitely on my top, let's say top 50 custom doll designs that I've ever done, just because she is super unique, and that video really did fly under the radar. So it's always exciting when a Britney fan reaches out and is like, hey, can you do this design? And I'm like, yes, that sounds fun to me. Okay, again, so yes, the most niche dolls. I thought of some very, very last minute. All right, so now I'm going to talk about the most challenging dolls that I've made. And when I say challenging, I don't mean that I don't really like how the doll came out or that it wasn't fun to make. It's when I say challenging, it's usually because it was something very new and ambitious. And I think with all of these, it took me a few tries to get everything how I wanted it to. I would say that a lot of these dolls I would love to remake now, because some of these are quite old. But challenges aside, I think there were so many of these, but I think these are all the ones that really took a lot more effort than I thought it would. And with that effort came some pretty cool pieces. So first, we're going to talk about the Today Show, I think 2000, definitely right when or around the time that Oops, I Did It Again had just come out. I had to really, just because I was creating such small details. And let me just say, I am not a professional by any means. Like, honestly, do I really know what I'm doing? I'm not sure. I just have fun with it. But I had to find the right fabric to use for this. It definitely took 3 or 4 tries for this one until I felt confident with it. And I really, really like how this one turned out. This was one that I was sad to see go for sure. This, another Oops era outfit, is from when Britney performed on SNL. And this one was challenging but pretty fun because I ended up hand painting this outfit. And I did that by using just a made to move body because that's what I was using for the doll. And I cut out the fabric, and I believe it was gray fabric that I used for it. And I put it on the body, and I literally hand painted everything with some acrylic paint and Mod Podge, not sponsored. And it was just difficult because I had to keep repainting things. So it took a really long time for me to figure out the paint for this, but I love this one. This is also just like such a Britney costume. Like if you just saw that outfit on a mannequin, like you'd know it's something that Britney wore. It's iconic. This is definitely one that I'm going to retry at some point. This is from the Overprotected European music video. I know I said working on denim with the denim dress earlier was really easy, but when you're working with smaller pieces like this was really hard. It's hard to work with denim. I definitely for this need to go, if I were to do it now, I would definitely use a much thinner denim than I did for the actual design. Again, I think I made this in maybe like 2019, so a really long time ago. I can, just by looking at it, I can see things that I immediately would do differently, but I still am pretty like happy with how this one turned out. The rainbow dress, this is a design that I was like so determined to do something totally different with. I am really happy with how this turned out, but I did kind of take some creative freedoms on this design that maybe I wouldn't now. There's definitely things that I could do to make this more accurate. But again, I think still, even looking at this doll, you can tell exactly what it is. And one thing I really liked about this is I did add a lot of extra little rhinestones around the decal, the glitter decal. That's not a part of Britney's costume in real life, but I like I said, I took some creative freedoms with this one, and I actually really love how this one turned out, but it was really difficult to figure out how I was going to. I had to paint and wait a lot for this one just because glitter had to dry because I kept mixing up glitters, but ultimately I still think she turned out really good. And I think this was like the first time I'd ever done this one, and I do really love making all the Britney dolls, but it's always super fun for me when someone orders something that I haven't made yet. I always get really into those, but I also tend to take a lot of like creative freedom with them, which can sometimes, not every doll turns out perfect ever. I definitely would not say this one is an absolute perfection, Britney Spears custom doll, but I still really love her. This one is from the Circus album photo shoot, and this one was, again, another one where I really had to sit and wait for things to dry because things just kept getting mixed up, and so I just got a bunch of little star decorations that I could use for this, but I had to sew and glue every star onto the body, and it definitely took forever. forever. I'm really happy with how this one turned out though. Again, using that Pepsi mold, I love the Pepsi mold. I think it looks just like her, and it also takes lighting super well. This one was definitely difficult, more so because it took forever to finish up. This next one is one of my favorites of all time, and that is from the Fantasy Twist perfume commercial. And it was this a really amazing video where Britney was like in different eras, and one of them was Cleopatra, I think. I'm pretty sure inspired by Cleopatra. I don't know. This one was difficult. This is one doll. I've only made this doll this one very time, and she took forever. I had to really figure out a lot of things for this, again, because I'm never trying to copy things. I'm always, and sometimes it gets the best of me because I'm always trying to do like some creative, different things for these dolls just to make sure that they are all 100% one of a kind. And for this one, I ended up finding a bunch of little, I think they were like earring pieces. I don't know. I was at the craft store and they were a bunch of little feathers, but they were either I can't remember if they were two gold or they were silver, but I ended up spray painting each one of those. And once I did that, I remember I hadn't thought about, okay, well, once that's done, how am I going to get the feathers on the costume? Because I'd never done anything like this before. And I ended up, again, individually sewing each piece onto the costume that I had made, and it took so long. I also had to like learn the hard way about really letting things sit out and dry when they've been spray painted, because my fingers were covered in gold spray paint by the end of it. But ultimately she turned out so fantastic, and like I said, definitely this is one of my most favorite designs of all time. This is the NASCAR look. Britney did some event in Florida. I could honestly like the Daytona. It was for NASCAR, and Britney made an appearance. She didn't perform, but she like announced the drivers like, get ready with your engines, whatever. And I remember this was a big part of her. Remember when MTV did their MTV Diaries, and it was like a whole episode of the day in the life of Britney Spears or whoever. And this one's hard. The catsuits are always pretty difficult on it, so I'm just gonna say that. I am not a professional, and the way that I sew things and make my patterns is very unconventional and different, but I do like the outfits to fit perfectly. And I also do make it, since I figure people are paying money for a one-of-a-kind piece, I do make it so you cannot take the outfits off the doll without possibly damaging something. And that's just kind of how I'm trying to preserve my art. I don't know if it's even gonna make a difference, but when I do the cat suits, and I've done several, of course, the Oops cat suit, that material was really difficult. The Onyx Hotel Tour cat suit, which is pretty much the same as the Toxic music video. The cat suits are really hard. A Dream Within a Dream tour, the Overprotected performance. It's just a different way of sewing, and it's not how I do everything else. So it does take a while just because I do want it to fit perfectly. So the cat suits are always a little more difficult than the rest, and this one was pretty hard as well, just because the cat suit, or if you even want to call it that, the jumpsuit, there's some very specific placements of colors and stuff. So that one was pretty challenging. The ABC in the Zone special, the opening outfit, love this one so much. It took me a while to figure out how to do the whole tattoo decal because I wasn't putting it directly on the body. I was using a skin-toned fabric for the undershirt because she does take it off in the performance. And this material that I used for this doll's pants were such a pain. I think I've used them again, or I used it again, and I was like, I totally forgot because it is such a pain to work with, but ultimately it did turn out pretty cute. Oh, this one, the fairy look from the Onyx Hotel Tour. This one is very challenging. I do hand dye all of the fabrics. This is the first time that I've made this doll that I was like, okay, nailed it. I've done this a few times, and I do hand dye every single piece of fabric just because, again, it does have a very specific color pattern that is on the outfit, but I love this doll so much. Again, so sad to see her go. Eventually, I will make this one for myself again because I love it, but I just know it's going to be a pain. On trend with the Onyx Hotel Tour, this look, the cabaret look, was also really difficult. I think I've done this one twice, but I will say I love the hair on this doll and the last doll. I think I did a really good job. The Britney doll does not always look super great with darker hair. Like, she definitely was made to be blonde, but I think specifically with the Onyx Hotel Tour dolls that I've done, I think I've done a pretty good job. I also did the Oops cover. I've done the Oops cover and the like inside of the little booklet from the photo shoot. I love these two, and again, I love the way I rooted their hair. And I'm also gonna say the look from the 2016 Billboard Awards performance is always pretty tough as well. Just getting everything attached, making sure it stays there. This is actually a design that I've made and kept for myself. It's one of the few. And yeah, I think this one took me a while to get there, but when I did, I'm super satisfied with how this doll always turns out. I think she is super cute. I would say the Overprotected music video look where she's wearing the chaps, that one is also pretty challenging, takes a while, but she does turn out pretty good. But yeah, I think that wraps up this category, the most challenging dolls that I've made or that are to make. Definitely forgetting some, I know I am, but a lot of people always ask me that, like which ones are the easiest to make, which are the most difficult. So let's talk about the easiest. Yes, we are going to wrap up part 1 of my Britney Spears custom doll deep dive with the easiest dolls that I've made. And honestly, maybe easiest isn't the right word for this category. So let's say the most simple, just because none of these dolls are ever truly easy. And just because I say they're simple doesn't mean I don't think they're great. I think all of these dolls turned out really cute. So first, let's jump into the Blackout album cover. This outfit is pretty straightforward, and I have done both the pink leotard as well as the white leotard. Again, brunette hair is not my favorite on the Britney doll, but these are two that I really love, and they were pretty simple. I just got some feathers and made the leotard and used a lot of glitter. Glitter always goes a long way with the Britney doll, so I really like these ones. Here we have an If You Seek Amy music video doll. All I had to do really was make the pants and top and cut holes in them, but I do love how I added the cute little roses on her heels. This is one of the dolls that I had totally forgotten about, and that is from Britney's Skechers ad. Again, pretty simple and straightforward. I loved the design that I did on the denim skirt. This one was super fun. I also love this face mold, but this one was from a really long time ago. I think that 2018, so haven't visited this one in a while, and again, I totally forgot about her. I would definitely say that any of the Britney paparazzi dolls that I've done have been pretty simple, but very iconic. Here we have the iconic MILF shirt that Britney wore, as well as the sexy on the Pepsi logo shirt. Everyone really loved these dolls. I loved them too. I think they turned out great. I would say the Piece of Me outfit is also very simple. I actually used a Spice Girls dress for this design, so it was for Posh Spice, the iconic Posh Spice. Love the Spice Girls, love the Spice Girl dolls as well, but I just took her dress, covered it with some glitter, put Britney's hair up, gave her some glasses, and it turned out just like the music video. So very simple, but again, I think this one turned out awesome. This is from the Don't Let Me Be the Last to Know video, and while the costume was really easy to make, I will say that taking photographs of this doll was a bit challenging. I had to get the exact right lighting because I was outside. And I also love her hair. It's in that style that I did for the Oops dolls that I showed you earlier, as well as the Onyx Hotel Tour doll. So I really like this one. I'm going to keep this category pretty short just because, like I said, none of these dolls really are simple or easy, but they are more simple and easy than others. Lastly, here we have a custom Britney doll from the Prerogative perfume commercial. Britney's got some epic perfume commercials, and I think this was the last one that she did, and it's such a cool production. I remember there were so many rumors that Britney was shooting a music video, but it ended up being the commercial, and honestly, I love it. And this doll, I just had one fabric. I think I found a really great fabric for this design, and I think she turned out great. Oh, and also anytime I do Britney in her Instagram-ny costumes, outfits, whatever you want to call them, those always turn out really cute. This one I loved. And I've also done Britney with the knives, which is pretty iconic. Okay, so that's where I'm gonna end part 1 of my Britney Spears custom doll deep dive. Thank you guys so much for watching. In part 2 of my Britney Spears custom doll deep dive, I'm going to be talking about the most fun dolls to design, the most what I think are underrated dolls that I've designed, the most unique, the best upgrades, and of course my all-time favorites, and maybe a few more. So definitely tune into that next week. I want to say thank you guys so much for 3 amazing years with the iconic Dollcast. So much more to come. Please follow me on Instagram at Britneyspearscustomdolls or Iconic Dollcast. You can follow me on TikTok at Britneyspearsdolls, and I will see you guys for part 2 next week.